But me, your mate, Louis T. Welcome to Rep Your Squad Week 6 edition. Apologize for the tardiness. Redskins nightly news ran a little long tonight, but that's nor here nor there. We're here, and we've got less than an hour before Monday Night Football kicks off. So let's jump right into the proceedings this evening. The number is on the screen in front of you. Let's open up the phone lines. I'll get into the chat discussion. And rep your squad, man. Let's talk about week 6, man. There are so many teams I'm fascinated by. I'm hoping to hear from. I'd love to talk Falcons tonight. Man, I felt like they got hosed in that game after watching it. There were some calls that really swayed the outcome of that game. Now, there's some underlying issues there. Their defense isn't very good this year, and there's so many things you could pick apart on that football team, but there are some calls that really altered the outcome of that football game. The Browns are another enigma. You heard Baker Mayfield talk about the Browns at the press conference after the game and said, I'm probably going to get fined for this, but the officials weren't good. I don't think they were as bad as they were in the Atlanta Falcons game. There were some calls in there that went in the favor of the Seahawks, yes, but I thought there were some calls that went both ways in that game. But problem is, you can't turn the ball over 4 times in a game and expect to win. That's where the real issue is for the Browns. Don't blame the officials for things that you did in the game that caused you to lose the football game. So Browns are another interesting team. The Titans benched Marcus Mariota. What does that mean for Mariota's career in Tennessee? Is it over? Tannehill finished out that game in Denver. They got shut out 16-0 in that game. That's, speaking of the Denver Broncos, that's 2 in a row for them. Are they starting to hit their stride? Have they figured out some things? They've got a massive Thursday night football matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs at home. Chiefs are losers of 2 straight. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So that's interesting in itself. Chiefs have lost 2 straight, both at home. So much to talk about. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Yes, this is Rob. Hi, Louis.
Hey, what's going on, Rob? Welcome to Rep Your Squad, man.
First thing I want to say is, how about them Cowboys?
How about them, man? 3 straight losses.
Basically, the team I represent will be Seahawks.
Right.
I just kind of want to say that overall, I've enjoyed the fact that they're 5-1 after 6 games.
Right.
I don't know if I really seen that coming. I'm kind of always nervous about every single game, but with Russell Wilson, you know, I just always feel like no matter who they're playing, he's going to come back in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I heard that his head monitor, the piece that gives him communication to the sidelines, it went out in the third quarter, and he literally had an entire drive where he had to call the plays, and they scored a touchdown on that drive.
Yep. And let's see, what else? Basically, I just want to say that, you know, every team we face, it always seems like we're going to, there's things about every team we're going to be playing that just always going to make me nervous.
Right.
So every team I've got, you know, nerves about facing any of them, but also with that, you know, with Russell Wilson, I'm always feel like that they're going to have a chance.
And you should. And right now, to me, he's the front runner for MVP. I mean, the guy's playing out of his mind right now, and it's fun to watch, man. It really is. I mean, what he's doing with this team, and I like the fact that they've got a nice balance of run and pass, but we asked about who was going to pick up the slack. No more Angry Bird, and there were so many different guys that you weren't sure about. And
well, I am really worried about losing Disley.
Yeah, that Will Dissly's injury, that sucks because he was having such a good season.
Well, he had a good season going, you know, at the first couple of weeks last year, too, before he got injured.
Same thing happened to him last year, exactly. And this one's going to probably end his season. It sounds like it's a torn ACL. At first, everyone thought it was an Achilles, but looks like it's his ACL, and it's probably going to be done for the season. And that's unfortunate because he was really playing exceptional football.
I guess, you know, this week we're going to be playing the Ravens.
Yep.
Which means we're going to be going against Earl Thomas.
Yeah, you know, that's going to be one of the storylines this week.
And, you know, I've only owned one jersey. It's an Earl Thomas jersey. He's actually my 3rd favorite Seahawk, but I can't tell you that, you know, even though I'm glad or I'm not happy to see him go. I am glad that he's with the Ravens. You know why? Because he's not with the Cowboys. I can't stand the fact that we spent like a year and a half watching all these Cowboy nation people talking like they're going to get Earl Thomas, and it just makes me laugh out loud that they weren't able to secure him. So for that, I am happy.
Hey, man, it's funny that you bring that up because you remember the games that they had against the Cowboys, and after every game, it seemed like the narrative was the same. You know, Earl Thomas wants to be back in home in Dallas, and, you know, we all remember the clip of him running up to Jason Garrett after the game and saying, you know, come and get me.
Come pick me up.
Yeah, so it's
why
amazing.
You know, I meant that as a Seahawks fan, I had to go through 2 years before this last free agency period, and, you know, every time I turned to anybody who was representing the Dallas Cowboys, they were like, yeah, we're going to get him, you know, after, you know, with free agency and everything.
Right.
So I'm just so glad that he didn't get there. So
Absolutely, man. Hey, Rob, thank you for repping your squad, man. And you guys are 5-1, getting off to a great start.
One small little story I want to say is that I hear all these people talking about executions of their offenses.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of reminded me of a little thing that happened back when Tampa Bay was first in the league, and their coach John McKay
I know you're going
had
with
an
this.
interview, and at that time they were in the midst of losing 26 straight games, and they asked him about the execution of his offense, and you know what he said?
I'm all for it.
He said, I'm all for it. Yep.
Yeah. That's one of
All
my
right,
favorite
well, I will
lines.
let you go with that.
Hey, man, thanks a lot, Rob, and hope your team continues with their success, man. Have a good one.
I do too.
Take care.
Bye.
So Rob's Seahawks are off to a 5-1 start. This is their best start since, I think they said 2013. They've only started 5-1 after 6 weeks, twice in their history. In 2003 they did it, and in 2013 they did it as well. So it's a hell of a start to the season for the Seahawks, and not many of us saw this coming. So it's a hell of a start for the Seattle Seahawks. You're on live with your man Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, Louis, you on with the Blackout B, man?
What's going on, Blackout B? Rep your squad, man.
What's going on with you, man? Everything's everything.
Hey,
I
same
just
here,
wanted
bro.
to call and talk about Kirk nephews, you know.
Hey,
Everybody
look, man.
was talking about how he couldn't win a big game.
Hey, look, I'm gonna need you to put some respect on that man's name. And can we get the cousins
man,
now?
He ain't cousins yet. He ain't getting in the playoffs this year for him to become cousins.
Okay,
man.
fair enough. I'm not mad at you for that. I was trying to see if I could slide that nephews to the side, but all right, fair enough. You got to win, get you to the playoffs, and win a game. I get
Listen,
that.
man, all I want to say is I'm glad to see my team respond to, you know, everybody's opinion about how with the Vikings you got to wait for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cousins kept his head down. He kept his head in the game, and he managed to beat a good team. And now we're still hearing it that, you know, the Eagles secondary was banged up and everything. But, listen, at the end of the day, these are all professional football players. They in the league for a reason. So all you can do is just play the game you got in front of you and keep it pushing. I'm just proud of my team from yesterday. So I just want to let everybody know they better be prepared. Because as you see, when you get Dalvin Cook going and you get the Diggs and Thielen involved, this is going to be a party, baby.
Hey, look, man. That was one of the most impressive performances I've seen from Kirk. And you know I've seen every single Kirk Cousins performance. That was as complete a performance I've seen from him. I saw him under pressure. There was a slant that he threw to Diggs under pressure. They came with like a zero blitz. And he wasn't phased. He stood in there off his back foot, rifle shot, first down. There was a throw outside the pocket to Olabisi Johnson where he's on the move.
Bring that up. I like that pass too. I was like, ooh, okay.
Whoa, wait a minute, Kirk.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, this dude is playing with some confidence. And the thing that I noticed, ever since all the controversy and him missing the deep balls to Thielen and Diggs wanting out and all that stuff, and even though a lot of that wasn't even aimed at him, it was more so towards the coach, but a lot of people thought it was Kirk because of his play. I've seen a change in him. He's gone back to the old Kirk Cousins where, remember when he first got there, it was all this dancing after touchdowns. He'd run down there and they'd do a little dance together. Now, Kirk's taking his ass to the sidelines after the touchdown, and he's picking up the Microsoft tablet, and he's looking at the damn play, and like, Kirk's dialed in again, man. Like, for a second there, he became Kirk, Hollywood Kirk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the $84 million man, and hey, everybody look at me. And he wanted to go and he wanted to do dances and he wanted to be one of the guys. Kirk Cousins is not one of the guys. He's never been that dude. He's cerebral. He's a gym rat. He's a guy that wants to focus. He was a guy that, when he was in Washington, he broke his day up into 15-minute increments. All right?
Yeah.
Like,
I heard that.
That's who Kirk Cousins really is. And he's getting back to that. And man, I tell you what, I know that the Eagles secondary is trash, and I can vouch for that. Their secondary is horrendous. We talked about it on this very program last week. A Vikings caller called in, or an Eagles caller called in and said, did they have a chance to win? And I said, look, that secondary isn't very good. And if you allow Dalvin Cook and Madison and all those guys to run the football, it's going to open up the play action, and they're going to take shots, and that's what you did. And they had no answer in that secondary, but Kirk was extremely sharp in the game, and I was proud of him. He looked damn good.
Hey, Lou, it's funny you brought that up about Kirk Cousins, the dancing and everything. So, because I noticed that yesterday, too. Like, after every touchdown, he, raised his hands and pumped his fists and everything, but then he just went right back to the side.
Right to the sideline.
Like, all right,
back to business, man. Like, that's who Kirk Cousins has been throughout his career.
Different right now.
Yeah.
Like, he used to be dancing and everything.
Right.
He ain't doing that no more.
Nah, he don't have time for that, because when he was trying to do that, he was trying to be somebody he wasn't, and the results on the field weren't matching up with the pay. So now he's focused. You got people taking shots like Zach Brown, his ex-teammate in Washington, taking shots. You know what I mean? So Kirk is out here trying to slay these naysayers, man. I love it. I hope he continues to do it.
He said it at his press conference, too. I got a gist of who he was, because he said he learned from somebody taught him in Michigan that, football is like being an executive. So he got to put on his three-piece suit and take it like a business and everything. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I know Kirk.
He can keep this going.
Yeah, I know Kirk, and he's playing, and I could see the difference. It changed last week versus the Giants. It carried over into this game. We'll see if he can keep it up, man. Because
Hey Lou, man, I seen you guys handle work out there. All I want to say is, sorry, that's my background. All I want to say is, I hope my team can package something together to give to you guys, so we can get Trent Williams, man. Y'all might as well let him up out of there. We need another left tackle just to get ready for in case we make this playoff run. That'd be a nice addition.
I would love nothing more than to do business with you, but we got a executive named Bruce Allen that is a moron that will not allow that to happen, bro. Sorry. So, unfortunately,
I hit you up on IG when it happened. I said, I know Lou is going to go through fits. I know he over there jumping in jubilation over there. But like you said, there's still more work to be done.
Still more work to be done, brother.
Need to get up out of there.
Yep, that's the guy that's got to go. That's when I'll be jumping.
If it's true.
The
stats is there. He can't beat a team with a winning record. So I'm glad if he beat anybody with some damn pigeons.
Yeah.
And how ironic the score we had was 38 points.
Yeah.
So then I can bring up 38-20 to all the goddamn Eagles fans, at least for this year.
Yeah. Obviously, they always like to rub that in. So that's a nice little consolation for you, man.
But yeah, I ain't gonna keep you, Lou. I just want to say keep putting out this good content, man. We love you for what you do. And
Appreciate
thank you for creating this format for us to call in and rep our squad on Mondays, man.
Hey, no doubt, man.
Brilliant idea. And I can't wait to hear what Reed got to say if I didn't already miss him.
All right, no doubt, man. Appreciate you.
All right, no doubt, Lou. One love.
All right, easy. So, hey, I was so impressed with Kirk in that game, as you could tell. I watched that game, and I saw throws. I saw confidence that I haven't seen in Kirk since he got to Minnesota. Maybe since that Rams game last year. I thought that was the last time I saw Kirk play with this much confidence. He was outstanding in that game versus the Eagles, and they needed him to be, because the defense had a lull there where the score got as close as 24-20, and the Eagles did some stupid shit. They're over-aggressive for no reason. Fake punt, field goal before halftime changed the whole contents of that game, but Kirk was on fire in that football game. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
It's
your boy Nick. What's good, Lou?
What's going on, Nick? Rep your squad, man.
Not much, bro. Like earlier in the season, I was worried about us being more balanced. I know, like I went to the Giants game. I was at that one, so I was expecting us to get the pass offense going in that one because their secondary is trash too. And I know we just played the Eagles, and their secondary probably damn near even worse. But like just to have Kirk Cousins build some confidence and start hitting the deep shots made me feel a hell of a lot better than I was feeling before.
Hey, look, man. It wasn't just the deep shots. It was his ability to maneuver the pocket. Because remember, Kirk's got a fumbling issue too. So something else that you always want to look out for with him is if he's spending too much time in the pocket, if he's trying to wait for guys to get open or going through 3 and 4 reads when he needs to get out of a dodge. And he was even manipulating the pocket. He was getting out. And I talked about with...
He was hitting some dots even when he was under pressure too.
Yes.
He was in his bag.
Yes, man. I mean... I was so impressed with the entire package that I saw from him in that football game. You got a little bit of everything. I just thought that Kirk really had it going in this football game. I was really proud of him, man.
As long as you can keep the damn play action game, because that's where you thrive.
That's
in the play
exactly.
Action. Keep that going.
Exactly.
You can honestly beat any damn team. Like a lot of people talking about how we got the Cowboys coming up. Cowboys just got smacked around by the goddamn Jets, and their secondary is looking ugly as hell. And the Chiefs secondary is trash. We already know that.
Yep.
It was like I'd be able to beat either one of them. Lions secondary ain't good either.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the key right now is the ability to run. And Dalvin Cook, I felt like, and I don't know where he is right now, but I felt like after the first 3 weeks, I said we probably looking at this year's league rushing champ. I really felt like that after the.
Cooking. He's good. He's good, real good in the pass game too. You get him in the ball, and any way you get him in the ball in open space, you're gonna do some damage.
He's been outstanding this year. And this is the guy that you thought you were getting out of Florida State when you drafted him. It's always been a concern with health, never the talent. Now it's starting to come together. And I actually like Madison. I wasn't a Madison guy when you drafted him.
Me either, bro. I like when we made the pick, I was like, yo, I don't understand this at all. I thought there was other running backs that were better than him.
Right.
Like
me
as
too.
I watched more film on him, he kind of reminded me a lot of Dalvin, almost like he almost played the same way. He makes a lot of defenders miss and breaks off a lot of tackles. He played damn near the same way he does.
I didn't expect him to be this good. That was a error on my part because I kind of put him in a box. I said, oh, he's another one of these Boise State running backs. They haven't had the most success. You know, the probably the best one has been Jay Ajayi, and he's not even in the league right now. So I was like, these Boise running backs, one in the same. And I was wrong, man. Alexander Madison looks legit, man. And
he was their whole damn offense at Boise State. All they did was give him the damn ball all the time.
Exactly. So, and you know what's funny is you still really haven't tapped fully into Irv Smith yet, and
he's showing some flashes.
He's showing flashes, but he's not a big part of the offense yet. He had a nice little catch down the sidelines late in the ball game this week, but
honestly, him and Kyle Rudolph haven't done much so far.
And if you could get them going, this just turns into an even harder offense to stop.
I figure like sooner or later they're gonna get going in the red zone. They'll come up big in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, well, you tried the little shovel pass, it didn't work. So we're gonna see, man. But the Vikings, I thought that this was a hell of an offensive performance. The defense wasn't great necessarily in the first half. I thought
honestly, I only seen like the first 2 drives, and I had to go to work after that. So I missed anything after that.
So the defense wasn't great early. They gave up some big plays, especially to Miles Sanders. Then they allowed Alshon Jeffrey to kind of get off. But
man, freaking Alshon always being beaten on our ass. I don't know why.
You know what's crazy is they keep trying to force feed him these underneath routes, and I'm like, that's not his game. And then they started to go vertical with him, and he started to do damage. But once the game got to 24-20, y'all ratcheted it up, man. Defensively, got after.
I seen like the notifications on my phone. They scored like I think it was like 17 unanswered or some shit like that. I was getting scared as hell for a minute. I was like, all right.
Yep. I mean, they roared back, and they did some dumb shit. They were over-aggressive. They went for a fake field goal right before halftime. They went for it on 4th down multiple times.
I don't know what the hell.
That's just the Eagles being the Eagles, man. With Doug Peterson, they're always trying to err on the side of being over-aggressive.
How about that boy Mack, though? That boy got that interception. Remember, he was telling me when he was coming out of Clemson, the boy can't get his hands on the ball.
Hey, look, man. Nice. Hey, he's gotten so much better, since he got into the league. He's gotten a lot better. How about your boy that plays for the Eagles getting an interception? I know you love him, so.
Oh, fuck. That man was trying to come out and and smacked the shit up out of Thielen. You see that?
Hey, I was so weak when Sendejo got that
can't stand that
interception.
dude.
I said the first person I thought of was you. Oh man, but hey, anyway.
That man's dumb as shit, bro. He dead ass be standing around in the middle of nowhere, like in no man's land when the ball's through to there. This dude's on the opposite side of the field doing some dumb shit and just runs up and tries to throw his body like an RPG and just completely whiffs all the time. He's dumb as shit.
Hey, I all I thought about was you when he got that pick. But anyway, hey Nick, man, appreciate you calling in, repping your squad. Look
You have
forward
a
to
good
chopping
one,
up
bro.
with you, man.
Appreciate you.
Have a good one, man. Take care.
Peace.
All right, so back-to-back Vikings callers. They're excited about the win. They should be. That was an impressive 38-20 victory over the Eagles. And for the narrative of Kirk not being able to beat teams with records over 500, he just slayed one. And the Giants the week previous, they weren't a good team, but they were playing hot football. They were confident, and they knocked those guys off as well. So this is a Vikings team. They still got a ways to go, I think, but they're coming, man. They're playing much better football. We got another call coming in. Gonna take it. You're on live with your man Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, what up, Lou? This is Gio, man.
What's going on, Gio, man? Rep your squad.
Not much, man. I'm a Washington fan, man. I just want to come out here and, like, that game with the Dolphins, man, that got me feeling real excited, man.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? We can make a Super Bowl, man. We got Josh Norman out here playing like an elite trash can. We got Case Keenum out here putting the trash bag in the trash can. On some weird serious though, but no, bro. Terry, man, only bright spot for our team. The running game ain't gonna work once teams, obviously, with Bill Callahan, who wants to emphasize the run. They're gonna stack 8 in the box, shut us down. We're not gonna be able to do nothing in the pass game. You know that. And Keenum's, well,
He's Keenum.
mediocre at best.
Yeah, he's
And
Keenum.
then our defense, man, only bright spot I see right now is our boy Dunbar stepping up big.
Yeah.
They need to release Josh Norman. Kerrigan needs to get traded or something. They need to trade Trent. A lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. None of it's gonna happen, and you know that. And that's the fact. That's the sad part about being a Redskins fan is that you see obvious things that can be done, and they're just not gonna happen. Especially not during the season. Which I'm not a fan of getting rid of Josh at this point. Yeah, he stinks. He's a liability, but you move on from him, and I don't know that there's better on the roster right now. So, you know, if you want to slide Moreau out and then give Jimmy a chance in the slot, you're still going to get abused because Jimmy's young and he's gonna have his growing
Well-
pains. And Moreau,
Well, what I want to say to that is that's a great idea putting Fat Moreau on the outside because he's been getting killed in the slot. man.
yeah,
I mean,
he's
murdered.
not made for the slot. And I had a conversation with my man Redskins Review, and I said, look, he said, look, we need to consider moving him outside because he's not good in the slot. And I said, everybody's not made for the slot, man. It takes a special individual to play in the slot because the receiver essentially has a 4-way go, as I like to say. They usually say 3-way go, but it's a 4-way go. They can come back to the quarterback, they can go in, they can go out, or they can go up the field. It's a tough cover. Whereas if you're a boundary corner, at least you got the sidelines to help you. I just don't think Fab's cut out for the slot. He's not a nickel.
Yeah, neither do I, man. Jimmy Moore needs to slide in there. They need to take fucking Norman's ass on the bench or something, man. But I was really impressed with Sean Dion Hamilton. Like,
Yeah.
they need to start putting him on passing now.
Yeah, I talked about that on the Redskins Nightly News, man. He was impressive. He was really impressive. Hey,
One of
man.
the only spots Ryan Anderson really stepped up that game.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot to mention him. He got hurt at the end of the game. He came back, but he was actually pretty good. I thought that call was BS, too. I meant to mention that.
Yeah,
That was a
cool.
terrible call, man. But, you know, it is what it is. Bottom line is he played well in that football game. That was encouraging as well. That definitely was. And I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot to mention that. And I meant to, and I just forgot. But he did play well, and that was a BS call on the sack.
Yeah, Allen played well. Hester came in off the bench, got a sack.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
We're getting pressure on the quarterback last 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I thought Apke actually handled himself well for really getting some. That was the first time he got some real snaps this season.
Yeah.
I thought he actually acquitted himself well on the field, and I thought that this was by far and away Landon Collins' best game as a Redskin. He got beat up the seam, but he knocked it away. He didn't know where the ball was at, but he still knocked it away. So I thought he had a hell of a game. Had a sack. Almost had an interception, had to knock away in the end zone. Had a tackle for loss. He missed on a tackle out in the flats, but if he didn't miss, that might have been a touchdown. And that allowed Monte Nicholson to come over and make the tackle. So he had an outstanding day. So I thought he was everywhere, man.
Oh yeah, man.
So
he's been playing good. He balled last game. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. But I want to mention that boy Dunbar, man. He's playing like a number one.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised, and I told Redskins fans about this, and they dismissed me. I said, look, and the reason they weren't trying to hear it is because he was banged up, and I said, look, Dunny's our best corner, and it's not even close. He's been our best corner for the last 2 seasons, and you got to think about it. It's crazy that we're saying this because the man's only 4 years removed from just making the transition from wide receiver, which is what he was at college and at Florida, to DB, which is the conversion happened his first year in the NFL. Jay Gruden said, man, this guy's long. He's talented. He's fast. He got to be able to help us in some capacity. So they made him a gunner and they flipped him from wide receiver to cornerback. And, I still think he can even get better. The guy's been playing phenomenal. He's put on good weight. There's a lot to like about Dunny's maturation, man. I'm really impressed, and I think sky's the limit for him if he can just stay healthy. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, that's a big thing with us, man, staying healthy. I don't think we can ever do that, man.
It seems like it.
I was watching some game film back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was noticing our receivers, we criticize them, obviously, but that man, Trey Quinn, be getting open.
Yeah.
Keenum just not going through his progressions, man. I seen him stare down Sprinkle, and he just be staring down his receivers, not going through his progressions.
Absolutely.
And one of those little out routes to the sideline, man, he always overthrows the ball.
Yep.
Always.
I talked about that on the Redskins Nightly News today. There were opportunities, and you hear the coaching staff say, we just missed on some opportunities. We got to clean that up. You're going to hear that with Case Keenum. That's going to be a constant issue with him, is that you're not going to get to maximize the potential of your offense with Keenum under center. And, it is what it is. He probably does give us the best chance to win at this point, but that's not saying much to me. You know what I mean? So,
Lou, I don't know why they're sitting here trying to have the best chance. For one, we're not beating San Fran. We're not going to go beat the Vikings. We're not beating the Bills. Hell, we're not even going to beat the Jets.
Hey, look, I'm with you. I'm with you.
The only thing we're looking forward to is the bye week. That's it.
I'm with you. But as fans, that's how we view it. But those guys in the locker room don't believe that. So,
they're not supposed to.
Right. So that's why they're going to continue to play Case Keenum, because they think he gives them the best chance to win, and that's what they're trying to do: win ball games. As fans, I know. I understand.
I want Keenum to go out to San Fran, and I want him to stink that shit up. I'm talking 3 or 4 interceptions, a couple fumbles here and there, and we get blown out.
I don't know if that changes anything.
Haskins in.
I don't know if that changes anything. I get your point though, because if we're close, and if he's not the problem, then there won't be a change. But I'm not sure that changes anything. Him playing really poorly. He's played poorly already, and he's still in the game. So I don't know if that really changes anything. We'll see.
Well, see, here's the thing. He played poorly. Colt played poorly. Haskins played poorly. But Haskins played poorly without, the reps. He's not getting reps. Now that he's getting reps, you can say, okay, well, he got the reps. Let's see what he does against the Vikings, since Keenum, who has the reps and everything, is playing poorly. So let's see what the young one got.
I've already mentioned this. I mentioned this on the Redskins Nightly News last week, that they're not going to play him in the Minnesota game as a starter because it's a short week. They're not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. Because that's a Thursday night game, they're not going to play Haskins. It's going to have to be either the week after that at Buffalo, which I think is the best spot for him to start, or you give him the bye week and you get him ready for the Jets the following week. So,
I'd say I don't want to put him out there against the Buffalo defense. But then again, if you want him to progress, you put him out there against some of the top defenses. That's what I'm saying. They should have started him against the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? Let him get his look, give him the reps. But what is a dysfunctional franchise, man?
We are, Gio. We are, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. Hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do.
Have a good one, man.
Hey, likewise.
Appreciate what you're doing.
We're gonna have the Redskin Nightly News is gonna be open tomorrow. Phone lines are open. Hopefully, I talk to you again, man. Take care.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I'll call back.
All right. Sound good. So, Redskin fan chiming in, talking about the Redskins getting their first win of the season. Obviously, 17-16 over the Dolphins. That was a crazy game, especially the ending. The Dolphins are such a bad team. So are the Redskins. But in any event, got another call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, what's up? It's Brown Shoe.
Hey, what's going on, Brown Shoe, man? Rep your squad.
Oh, man, the Bengals, man, they have returned to the 90s. Like, holy crap. It's hard to be a fan at this time, but I'm too loyal. Too freaking loyal.
I can tell you this much. I know as bad as it may seem, when I watch them, you're not a bad team as much as you just don't have enough right now. You're not getting blown out of games necessarily. It's just that you don't have enough offensively. I think that's where the real issue. Your defense actually hasn't been that bad outside of the 49ers game, which they could not stop the run. It was so bad in that game. I thought even the Steelers game where I was disappointed in the production, you still were in that game for much of it until the end. You haven't been that bad defensively. Hell, even this week versus the Ravens, and I know the Ravens aren't a juggernaut offensively, but you were in that game. The problem is you don't have enough offensively, and that was my problem and my worry going into the season without A.J. Green. I said, without A.J. Green, this offense just doesn't have enough. And week one, you were all excited and giddy. As a matter of fact, I think we talked after week one, and you were elated after John, Ross went out there, had himself a hell of a career day, and you were literally one or two plays from winning that game and stealing it on the road. And I said, I don't know if you can continue this moving forward because this team doesn't have enough offensively. The offensive line, as we know, isn't very good, and you couldn't afford injuries, and you've already had them before the season even started. So I get your frustration, but this doesn't look like the Bengals of the 90s that were the Bungles, where you knew this is one of the worst teams in the league. You're 0-6, but I know there's nothing that can replace winning. And there's no solace to be taken in being 0-6. But if there is a silver lining, this team is playing their asses off for their new head coach, who I just think right now is undermanned, if you can buy that. I think that you get A.J. Green back in, let's say 3 weeks from now, I think this is a team that could win some games. That's just how I feel personally. If the defense continues to play. Now, you got to stop getting injured. And, when it rains, it pours. I saw Kirkpatrick leave the field with a knee injury early in the game. That could be season ending. I mean, you can't afford that. So the injuries are starting to mount, but if you could just stay relatively healthy, get some of these guys back, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, our run defense is horrible. We need linebackers so bad.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, if you just look at the Ravens game, time of possessions, the Bengals had the ball for 20 minutes. The Ravens had it for 40 minutes. We can't stop the run.
Yeah.
I think they had almost 200 yards rushing against us, I think. Like, we just cannot stop the run at all. Like, that's a major part of the defense.
Yeah.
That's just horrible.
Yeah, no,
And
you're
the
right.
thing that worries me is that Geno Atkins and Dunlap are getting old. They've been the core of the defense for a very long time, and they're getting up there in age. I mean, how much longer are they going to be able to play good? I mean, Dunlap's already looking not like an elite pass rusher anymore,
Right.
but it could be the scheme.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, like the offensive line, like you said, like it was in shambles week one. I mean.
Right.
Our first two left tackles are out.
Right.
Our left tackle for Glenn, he's done.
Yeah.
He's probably done like forever because he's been in the concussion protocol since the Washington preseason game.
Wow.
Jonah Williams out. Bobby Hart's out.
Yep. Your first round pick from Alabama.
Everybody's out on the offensive line. Like it's just a second string unit at this point.
Yeah.
And that it's rattled Dalton.
Yeah, it has.
I'm a big Dalton supporter,
Yeah.
and I think he might have been David Card. Like I think he might be David Card right now. Like he might be done just because half of his career he's been in the top 5 most sacked quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I think that the lack of an offensive line has just killed them. And the offensive line's been so bad. Joe Mixon, like, I think his biggest game this year is like 50 yards.
Yeah.
Like, Joe Mixon's a damn good running back. He's
Right.
a damn good running back. But his best game's like 50 yards. Like, there's no holes. There's nothing. They're not even running to the outside. Like, the coaches are so bad. They only run plays on the inside most of the time for run game plays. Like, you got to go and compensate. Like, it makes me pull out my hair. Like, we're 1-13 in the last 14 games. We've won only one game in the last 14 games. Like, it's a hard time to be a Bengals fan right now.
I get it. No. And you're right about the run game. The Ravens had a possession in the fourth quarter that literally was spilt over from the third. It was over 10 minutes. One possession was over 10 minutes. It was ridiculous. Your inability to stop the run has been an issue. You're right about Andy Dalton. He's starting to see ghosts. I don't blame him. It's rough, but that's what happens when injuries start to take effect and your depth is tested. I've been there. I've seen it firsthand. I know what a team looks like when they're a shell of themselves and guys that have no business starting or playing significant snaps are having to play and take significant snaps. It starts to wear on you. And I say that, and you literally were in that ball game versus Baltimore. For as bad as you guys were against the run, Lamar Jackson racked up over 150 yards rushing. They ran for over 200 yards rushing. They didn't almost. They ran for over 200 yards rushing in that game. And they dominated time of possession. And we say all of that, and you were still in that ball game. But to piggyback off your point, I was going to say this, but you said it first. Joe, there were a lot of people, especially listening to people in fantasy, talk about, well, it doesn't matter how bad Cincinnati is, Joe Mixon is still going to get his because he's that good. That hasn't been the case this year, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that the supporting cast around him is that bad. So it's even affecting a guy that we think is somewhat elite, and that's how bad it is for Cincinnati this season.
Yeah, man. I mean, we can turn it around. It's definitely not going to be this year. And we're usually generally good in the draft, but I mean, people say we're good in the draft, but I don't know. Like, we're just so bad in free agency, it doesn't even matter. That's
my problem, because I'm one of the people that think you do the draft as good as anybody. Your problem isn't the draft. It's either retaining the talent that you have or going out and spending money. Like, you can't go out and give money to Bobby Hart. Like, that can't be a guy that you're targeting in free agency. Like, we got to have this guy. Or you can't re-sign Bobby Hart and give him the kind of money that you gave him. Like, Bobby Hart's a difference maker, because he's not. So it's that kind of thing that makes people say, what the hell are the Bengals doing? So that's always been the issue, is not drafting guys because you're good at doing that. It's keeping homegrown talent in Cincinnati. Can't pay everybody, I get it. But you got to be selective in who you let walk and who you keep. And I don't think you've done the best job of doing that over the years. So anyway, go ahead.
Not signing Andrew Whitworth, that was our downfall right there, because Andrew Whitworth, he's still a damn good offensive lineman, even though he's old.
Yeah.
Like, if we would have signed him, we would have been in such a better position from 2017 and on. Like, it would have made a night and day difference. But I'll let you get to other callers. I appreciate you taking my call. You know, I really appreciate your content.
Yep.
I watch it all the time. You know, I'm a big supporter of you. I hope you keep on getting better and getting more outreach out there. So
I appreciate it, BSC, too, man. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
So it's been rough, man. And I watched that game, and I've watched the Bengals all season long, and I feel like they're still competing, man. They're still competing their asses off. They just don't have enough. So it's a shame. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, Lou, this is Zendico, man. What's going on with you, partner?
What's going on, Syndico, man? Rep your squad, man.
Hey, you know what time it is, man. Listen, will you please tell the media to just chill on Kyle Allen, man? Just take the Kool-Aid away from them boys.
Hey, look,
Listen, man.
everybody likes the new
Quarterback is
shiny
playing
object,
good.
man.
Much respect, man.
Yep.
But listen, that was against Arizona, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. Now, I will give him much love for Houston. He kind of helped us pull through that one, man. But Kyle Allen's good, man. But, yo, these cats really got to chill with him, bro. He's a great backup, and I'm glad we got a solid backup, man. But, yo, when the big game comes, like when the 49ers, the next game we play, I don't know if he's going to make it, cuz. What you think?
We're going to see. I mean, I've liked what I've seen from him. So right now, his biggest issue is ball security in the pocket. You hit him,
Exactly.
small hands, ball comes out. He's fumbled a ton of times in limited snaps. So he's got to clean that up. But if you're talking about poise and moxie and spreading the ball around, this has been the biggest thing. And, you know, everybody likes the new shiny toy. Everybody likes the new shiny object.
He's our Gardner Minshew.
Right, and I'll take it a step further. There are, and I didn't realize this until Cam got injured. There's a lot of people who don't like Cam Newton, especially old white people. They can't stand
That was
him.
going to be my next point. You have no idea how much Panther Nation is divided right now, man.
I mean, it is
All
crazy.
the nasty came out.
Man, it is so many people that really don't, and I honestly don't know why. They don't
But
like this man.
listen. Now, Cam kind of brought some of this on himself, especially when he came out with that YouTube video on
See,
his YouTube channel.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch that.
Bro, you can't lie to the coaches and give up 2 games, man. We at least should have been 5-1 right now. You can't put your teammates in jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there have been reports of teammates looking at him sideways because they knew he was hurt,
Yeah.
and
Now,
they let him go out there and play.
Now that is
I mean,
a problem. That's a problem right there. And if you know your play and your inability to do certain things is hampering the team, you got to sit down. You know, you got to put your ego to the side and you got to allow other guys to have an opportunity. But in the same breath, we've commended him in the past for trying to play through things. And I don't know if you watched it. If you're a Panthers fan, I don't see how you haven't. But I assume you watched the Amazon Prime.
yeah, the all or nothing.
All or Nothing. I watched it. It was incredible. You saw how this man was laboring through the season. He wouldn't practice. You know, he barely
But
moved.
that's the same thing last year. They knew he was hurt,
Yeah,
man.
they did.
And guess who was sitting there the whole time?
Yeah,
Kyle Allen.
Right.
He was sitting there the whole time. Cost us a playoff run, man.
Yeah.
And listen, man, in the comments below, I'll type this in later, but a lot of cats don't know, man. We're all in this year, man. That's part of the reason why they pulled him.
Yeah.
That little money we tried to hold to save to roll over the next year because, you know, we got a ton of people to play. We went in and got Gerald McCoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and our defense, first of all, shout out to our defense,
Right.
man. God, dog.
Yeah.
Leading the league in sacks, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, man, we there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Christian McCaffrey, dude.
Oh my God,
I mean,
he's in the MVP race right now. To me, he's right behind Russell Wilson.
And that's what I'm saying, cuz Kyle Allen, the team is carrying Kyle Allen. And kudos to him for not wrecking the Ferrari, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Look,
we'll see what happens when the real time comes. But
Yeah.
listen, at the end of the day, though, Cam is coming back this year, so everybody needs to calm down. Because next year is his contract year. Everybody knows, man, if he's got to prove. And if I was the GM, I'll cut Christian McCaffrey a check right now
Yeah.
while he's cheap, man.
right. That.
Give him the Zeke deal. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, hey, look, that would be the smart thing to do. The longer you wait, the more expensive this thing is going to get.
Exactly. This is his 3rd year. I mean, why not?
Yeah, if you're smart, you'll go ahead. The sooner you do it, you realize you get a discount. The later you wait, you're gonna have to pay. So,
Like I said, not just him, man. Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, it's a bunch
James
of them.
Bradbury.
I'm about to
Well,
say
I mean, there's a
Bradbury is
ton of
playing out of
people
his
looking to get paid,
brains.
man.
James Bradbury is playing out of his brains right now. Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot of
man.
dudes playing ball, man, and you can't pay everybody.
Exactly. And guess who's sitting on the shelf, man, and do $20 million? Cam Newton. You know, like I said, Panther Nation, man, is kind of divided. Listen, Cam is my guy. And when he comes back, I'm pulling for him.
Right.
Because he can do things Kyle can't. But here's the thing, bro. What do they say he is? A dual threat quarterback, right?
Yep.
Where is his injuries? In his shoulder, which is passing, and in his foot,
Yeah.
which makes him a no-threat quarterback. You hear what I'm saying?
Hey, look, man. With Cam, he's one of those dudes like a John Wall in the NBA where you're like, hey, what happens when that speed leaves and you can't run circles around
Yeah,
dudes?
man.
It's a big part of his game. And with Cam, what happens when you can't be Cam Newton anymore? Like, I don't think anyone's afraid of him standing in the pocket and throwing a rock. Like,
Right.
we've always seen the Panthers, and when they're at their best, when are they at their best? When Cam is a running threat. You take that away from him, I don't think he's the same guy. So that's why he said this time, and I think that contract thing is kind of playing in his head as well. He's like, I'm not coming back till I'm fully healthy. So we're
Well,
going to see.
listen, he better get back on that field sometime this year. That's all I'm saying, man.
We gonna see. It's gonna happen.
Balling, man. He's in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
It is. I mean, the more he plays and the more success he has, the more you start hearing rumors. I don't know if you saw the rumor today that at least 10 teams in the AFC would be interested if he were put on the trading block.
That's why I said that, man. I mean, listen, just I don't know, man. It's a tough one because, like I said, I'm a Panthers fan above all, man. And if Kyle's the best option for us right now, I mean, ride with him. But going forward, can he make a playoff run?
Only one way to
Don't know,
find
man.
out. Only one way to find out.
There it is, man. Hey, listen, man. Shout out to the sorry Falcons. Shout out to the sorry Bucks. Hey, man, the Saints. Teddy Bridgewater is doing the same thing, man. The team is carrying him, so we'll see them boys later on.
Yeah.
Hey, you boys keep on, sucking the grass. So
Hey, we'll see y'all later, man.
you know
You'll
what I mean?
get a win off of us. You'll get one off of us later on in the season.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. We need all the help we can get, man. Make Kyle look a little better, you know what I mean?
Hey, we'll do our part for sure.
Yeah, man. But I'm glad I'm gonna rep my team 4-2. Tied. I think we're tied. No,
he's second
still up
place.
one game, but we're gonna catch them boys.
Second place. We'll see, man. That's gonna be a fun division to watch unfold, man. But hey, your squad, I think a lot of people counted them out when Cam got hurt, and when you were 0-2, it seemed like the sky was falling, man. 4 games
Right.
later,
But
man.
Yeah, because
Wow.
the boys looked bad in preseason, man. We all thought that it was over. You think Will Greer? We thought, Will Greer looked like absolute trash.
Right.
And Kyle Allen didn't look much better, so we was like, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
But the team rallied around them boys, man, and that's coaching, too. So shout out to Ron Rivera and his staff, man.
He is so underrated, but that's another story for another day, man. Hey, Syndico, man, appreciate you chiming in, bro. Thanks for repping your squad, man. Take it easy.
Absolutely, man. You all be good, man.
No
Take
doubt.
care.
Hey, man, the Panthers are one of the feel-good stories. A franchise has 7 turnovers forced on Sunday over in London versus the Bucks. They're playing outstanding football, and as he said, they're rallying around Kyle Allen as their quarterback. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
What's up, Lou? How are you, bro?
What's going on? Who am I speaking with?
It's your boy Jay.
Hey, what's going on, Jay? Rep the squad.
Man, I'm a Dolphin fan, man, and Lou, I need you to drop something on my spirit, man. Something to give me something to be positive. I always say, man, I call you Lou PFW, Lou Professional Football Watcher, man. This is hard to watch. I just need you to just tell me something positive about my Miami Dolphins moving forward.
Okay, so here's all I got for you, man. It ain't much, but it's something for you to grab and hold on to. And this is the thing. If you're looking for something to give you some energy and some spirit on Sundays, I ain't got nothing for you, bro. It's going to be a long, tough, rough season for you. All right. Now, future-wise, that's where all the hope is. You got to, and this is the thing. You don't have any reason to believe your organization is going to spend these picks wisely because they haven't in the past. But you've got to instill trust in them that they're going to take all of this draft capital, and the thing that you should be really hanging your hat on is that they've got a guy that continues to tell you every single week, I know what winning looks like. I was under Belichick. I got to see it up close and personal every day for the last 7-8 years. I won 4 Super Bowl rings. I know what winning looks like. Let me help you win. So you're hoping Brian Flores figures that out and what those players need to look like in a Miami Dolphins uniform, and you get rid of all the guys that don't want to be there, which you've pretty much already done. You know, you've helped guys get out of there. You've accumulated all this draft capital. You may not be done, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of picks early in the draft, and you're going to have an opportunity to make your team much better very fast, okay? The biggest key, though, is figuring out the quarterback position, because it don't really matter what you do with all the rest of the picks. If you don't hit on the most important position in football, you're screwed. You'll be back in this spot 5 years from now, and with the way the NFL is going, more like 3 years from now, and you'll be singing the same song. You might be a more talented team, but you'll still be stuck in the mud, so to speak, because you got to have a quarterback to take that next step in this league. I don't know if Josh Rosen is that guy or not. Hard to really tell. It's hard to really, and this is the bad part about where Rosen is and the whole thing about the situation is it's hard to evaluate a quarterback with what is being put on the field around him. I can tell you, watching that game very closely, I'm a Redskins fan, as you know, this past week, he looked like a deer caught in headlights. He wasn't going through his reads quick enough. He was scared. He was looking at, it wasn't good. It wasn't good enough. And it's hard on him because he's been in two different systems. He hasn't gotten all the reps. I understand all of the challenges that have posed themselves to him early in his NFL career, but if you're not sure about Rosen, which I don't think there's going to be any way you're going to be able to be 100% sure about him after this season, you're probably going to have to spend what's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick on a quarterback. And you got to make sure you figure out which one of these dudes is the best of the group, because you're going to have at least 3 of them at the top of the draft that are going to be really good, that you got to figure out which one best suits your team, your style of play, and then from there, you need to start picking some really good football players to complement.
Well, let me say this, Lou, and I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to ask you one more question about the head coach.
Sure.
My thoughts on Rosen is, listen, I'm not for the baby Josh Rosen. I told you that my dad is a Washington Redskins fan, and I've seen a lot of people when the New York Giants put Haskins in, and they were saying that how they were setting Haskins up for failure. And this. Listen, we complain about. I've seen Andrew Luck take a team that won one game and took them to the playoff. The next year. You know what I'm saying? I've seen Baker Mayfield got a team competing that won one game in 2 years. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I know the Miami Dolphins don't have a lot of talent around Josh Rosen. We're not asking Josh Rosen to go out there and take us to the playoffs because we know we're not going to the playoffs. But we can't be going out there getting blown out, Lou.
Right.
Getting our brain bashed in. I'm not saying that Josh Rosen is the problem. Nobody can say that he's the solution, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, you're 100%.
So to me, in my opinion, I know there's not a lot of talent around him. Listen, Andrew Luck didn't have a lot of talent around him. Baker Mayfield was in a better situation, but we seen Baker Mayfield take a team that won one game in 2 years, and he had them competing last year. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I can't coddle these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Put them in there, see what you got. If you ain't the guy, then we move on.
Jay, but see, that's the thing. You're mentioning outliers. You're mentioning guys. Andrew Luck was a consensus number 1 pick, a can't-miss prospect. Those are the type of guys that elevate other players around them. All right, Baker Mayfield, he wasn't a consensus number 1 overall pick, but he was a guy that was highly thought of coming out of Oklahoma. It surprised many, including myself, when he was made the number 1 overall selection. But he's a guy that can elevate players around him. And he's got the kind of personality that players gravitate towards. Josh Rosen is not that. He's not a guy that's going to elevate the play of everyone around him. He's a guy that needs an infrastructure that is around him that will make him successful. He's one of those guys that you put him in a situation to succeed with players around him that can help him succeed, and he'll do his part. He'll carry his weight. But he's not one of these guys that's going to take a lesser team and elevate them to double-digit wins. That's reserved for elite quarterbacks, which Josh Rosen is not. So you're asking a lot out of a guy that is probably not built to do that. So it's tough. I'm like you. I don't want to coddle these quarterbacks. I want Dwayne Haskins out there. I wanted him out there 2 weeks ago. I think that we've gotten to a point now where we're making excuses for guys instead of helping find solutions to make these guys work. And
I said this, bro, and I'm gonna ask you about Brian Flores, and I'm gonna let you go. I said this about putting Dwayne Haskins in. If Dwayne Haskins can't show up against the New York Giants, and I understand, bro. I understand that he didn't get a lot of practice rep, but if you're a gamer, you guys we can't be getting beat like you guys are getting beat against the New York Giants. Because if the New York Giants is not a good defense, bro.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you can't play well against teams like the Dolphins, the Giants, the Bengals, then you got to question, okay, well, did we really get it right at the quarterback position? And I'm not saying that about Dwayne Haskins. I'm just going back on Josh Rosen. Listen, the Washington Redskins, no disrespect to you guys, but you guys are no world beaters on defense.
At all.
And we made – I mean, Josh Rosen looked at
horrible. I was expecting y'all to pull them at halftime. If you would have done that, you probably would have won the game. Honestly.
Right. Do you see the team? You know, we all as Dolphins fans, we know that this is going to be a rough year.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about our head coach? Because I always say this: you can go get the best head coach. You can put a great. If you don't have a head coach, in my opinion, Lou, that can develop a quarterback. You drafting that quarterback in the first round or with the first round pick, to me, is a waste of time because you're not going to have the right coach to develop him. And yeah, we may draft a quarterback next year, and that's all fine and dandy. But if we get a guy like Tua, right, Luke, and let's just say Tua struggles the first 4 or 5 games, guess who's going to go? Brian Flores is going to get fired. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is this: do you see any quit in the team? You know, we've been getting blown out. It haven't even been close. Do you see the team competing for them? Or, you know, you got a first-hand look at the Dolphins this Sunday. What do you think about them? Then I'm going to let you get out of here, bro.
Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like if Brian Flores is no dummy. He doesn't strike me as one. And we had this conversation in the offseason when we were talking about the divisional rankings and where teams were at. And you called in and we had a very spirited debate on Flores. You talked about his demeanor and how he had gotten on some of the players. I think we even talked about, I think he got on Rosen and, you know, was yelling at him. And so we had a conversation about him before. But I think if you're Brian Flores, you take this job knowing that it's a project. And Stephen Ross has to understand this isn't a 1 or 2 year fix. And that's why you trade these players. That's why you put yourself in a position to get off all this draft capital. So even if you get off to a slow start next year, you got to give me at least 3-4 years to figure this thing out. This isn't a quick turnaround in Miami. All right. And they figured that out. And that's why they're blowing it up and trying to start anew. So I don't know if he gets fired next year. And to answer your second question, which is the more important question, I don't think I've seen any quit in this team. The first 2 weeks, I thought they were overwhelmed. And I actually thought the team had quit after the first 2 weeks. But the last 3 games, and you had a bye week in there, but the last 3 games, if you had the Cowboys game started with the Cowboys, you get a drop touchdown, and it was a good play by the defender, but that's a touchdown grab. I got to have it in the end zone by one of the receivers. I can't remember if it was Williams or if it was Parker, but you find a way to be losing at halftime like 10-6 instead of up 17-6, and then they blow you out in the second half. And you, up until the Redskins game, you hadn't scored in the second half of any game this season, which is remarkable. But you were in that game. You look the following week after that, I thought you were in that ball game in the first half. You did some really good things. And for the second week in a row, I thought you should have been leading at halftime. But instead, you make some mistakes and the other team is leading and then they run away and hide in the second half of the game. But you were competitive in those games in the first half. You took another step this week. Now, the competition wasn't as great as the previous 2 weeks that you played. But nonetheless, you took another step in the right direction. This week, you were competitive in the first half, but like you said, Rosen was awful. The second half, you make the switch. It took long enough, but you make the switch to Fitzpatrick, and he gives you a spark, and you almost win the football game. Bottom line is they have not quit on Flores. This defense is flying around. You say what you want. Even without your best player on defense, okay? You did not have your best player on defense. He was out. Right. You still played defense and was flying around. And I get it. The Redskins' offense is trash. I understand that. But you still only gave up 17 points. All right? They're playing hard. And, again, it's a lack of talent in a lot of situations. And you're going to get out-schemed by other teams. And remember, this is a first-year head coach, so he's going to make mistakes, including not putting in Ryan Fitzpatrick earlier. And bottom line is he's in a conundrum because if you want to win, if you want to put yourself in the best position to win, you just play Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right? Which is why he tried that at the beginning of the season.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like the Dwayne Haskins.
Right. It does nothing for you. So the whole narrative of the Dolphins are trying to lose. No, they're not trying to lose. They're just trying to figure out what the future looks like. The only way to figure that out is by playing Josh Rosen. Now, it was not pretty. You know what I mean? It was not pretty. The offensive line is not great in front of him. And again, that's what makes it such a hard evaluation because we had guys beating your offensive linemen like our guys are good. Our guys are not good pass rushers at all.
Come on now, Lou. You guys got some talent on the defense.
We got talent, but look. No, they're not awful, but we're not supposed to be doing what we did to y'all in the first half of that game. You had dudes winning one-on-one matchups. We don't win one-on-one matchups very often like that. Okay, we were dominating your guys in the first half. Rosen had no chance in the first half, and a lot of it was because we were coming after him, and sometimes we weren't even blitzing and we were getting pressure. Go look at the Redskins in the first 5 games of the season and see if they were generating pressure like that. The only games we got pressure on were Tom Brady last week, and their offensive line is garbage too, and yours. Every other game, we weren't able to get any pressure one-on-one. So that was news to us.
Well, let me say this, Lou, and I thank you for having me on, man. I want to say this to Washington Redskins. You know, let's not baby the Wayne Haskins. It was very, very alarming to me that he couldn't play against the Miami Dolphins. I am a lifelong Miami Dolphins fan, Washington Redskins fans. This is the worst team the Dolphins have ever had. This may be the worst team on paper, as far as talent-wise, in the history of the NFL that I have ever seen. I'm only 32 years old.
Yeah.
If your quarterback can't go out there and compete against against the Miami Dolphins, who, in my opinion, outside of Xavier Howard, they have nothing on defense. The worst pass rush. We did not touch Case Keenum. Case Keenum is just god-awful.
Yeah.
Don't think the our defense made Case Keenum look bad. Case Keenum is just god-awful. And if Dwayne Haskins can go out there and compete against the Miami Dolphins, who was missing Xavier Howard, we have nothing at the cornerback position.
Right.
Listen, it's concerning to me.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying go out there and draft a quarterback next year, but all I'm saying is let's keep an eye on Dwayne Haskins, because at the end of the day, we could blame coaching. We the Washington Redskins, we know that they dysfunctional in the front office, but at the same time, your quarterback got to go out there and prepare himself in the meeting room, in the film room, and that practice. And if he's not doing that, you gotta look at Dwayne Haskins and saying, is he that guy? Is he preparing himself? Because it was very alarming to me, Lou, that he couldn't go out there and at least compete against the Miami Dolphins. You couldn't throw him out there against the Miami Dolphins.
And so
maybe the worst team we have seen in the last 20, 25 years.
I'm gonna say this, and then we gonna end it right there. So apparently, by all accounts, he's been coming early. He's been staying late. He's been a film room junkie. He's been doing everything to prepare himself. He's a model citizen. He's doing everything they've asked him to do. And to be honest with you, I put it on the coaches, because if we had Josh Johnson at the end of the season last year, picked him up off the street. 6 days later, he was starting for us. They got him prepared to play out of necessity. You telling me you can't get Dwayne Haskins ready to play? You can't give him a portion of the playbook to digest and be ready to regurgitate it on a Sunday? I put it on the coaching staff. I don't put that on Dwayne Haskins. I think that they're coddling this man way too much. And my stance is they could have got him ready to play against the Dolphins. They could have got him ready to play against the New England Patriots if they wanted to. They have chosen not to play this man. I don't think it's a situation where we're protecting Dwayne from himself or any. Look, we just saw a third-string quarterback, Duck. We just saw a guy named Duck go on the road. It wasn't a road game, but it was on the road, and go win a damn game. You telling me you can't prepare a first-round pick to go out and compete? I'm not buying that, Jay. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not.
You're right, Lou. Only thing I'm saying to you, bro, and I'm gonna let you go. Don't fall in love with the player. You know what I'm saying? Well, we're fans of the team.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Never that. You ain't got to worry about that with me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on, bro.
Hey, no doubt, Jay. I always love when you call, man. Always great insight, man. Have a good one.
All right.
All right, guys. So that's gonna do it for Rep Your Squad this week, week 6. As always, I have a blast doing this with you guys. Look forward to doing it again with you in week number 7. Remember, Mondays, 7 p.m. I'm going to try to be on time so we have more time to discuss more teams here on the show. But in any event, Monday Night Football is going on as we speak. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, can't wait to watch. And I know you guys are probably watching as we speak. We'll break that game down in its entirety on the overtime program at the conclusion of Packers Lions. I'll see you for that game. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, you guys continue to rep your squad. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Louis T Network.